Hello everyone, Sokol Blosser here, winemaker and grape grower at Sokol Blosser Winery. This is our third installment of our deep dive series that we are calling, if I get this right, From Our Land to Your Hand. So the first series, we talked about soil, terroir. Second part, we talked about climate. And today we're talking about clones. Now remember, quality of our Pinot Noir rests on a four-legged stool. So the four legs of that stool that the quality of Pinot Noir sits on is gotta have the right soil, gotta be in the right climate, you gotta have the right clone, and then next week I'll tackle rootstock. So aujourd'hui is clones. So let's get into it. So what's a clone? Well, let me not get too deep into this because a clone, let's talk about a variety. So a variety would be like Pinot Noir, or a variety would be Chardonnay, or a variety would be like Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay, are you with me? So a clone would be something that is Pinot Noir, but has some subtly different traits. So you know it's Pinot Noir, but it has different traits. So a clone, if this is a variety of Pinot Noir, a clone will be in that variety. Whereas, Cabernet is a different variety, and there are different clones of that variety as well. So today we're just gonna talk about one variety, which is Pinot Noir, and then clones within that variety. Now, Pinot Noir is old. Pinot Noir is like one of the oldest vitis vinifera out there. We're not really sure how old it is, but we think it's at least 2,000 years old. It's one of the oldest vines out there. They actually, the first time, was according to Jancis Robinson, she's super smart about wine and grapes. Reading up on one of her numerous books, she said that Pinot Noir first started being talked about in like the 13th century, and they were talking about it as Morillon, or M-O-R-I, two L's O-N. So I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I were in France, Morillon. Pinot Noir sounds better. Sorry. Today, we think there's actually almost 1,000 registered clones of Pinot Noir. Now, of those 1,000, do you think me, Sokol Blosser, can get access to those 1,000? No. So if I call up one of my nurseries I source from, like Duarte down in California, if I call them today and say, hey, how many clones of Pinot Noir can I buy from you? They'll say, 30 to 40. If you call a nursery in France, I think they have maybe 47 clones of Pinot Noir available for wine growers to purchase from a nursery. They might have their own special stock. So there might be 1,000, clones of Pinot Noir out there, but what are commercially available are a lot less. So we're really going to be talking about those 30 to 50 different types of clones that are commercially available and that we use in our vineyard. Now, when it comes to clones and selection, it's something that we have been figuring out what works over the last 2,000 years of Pinot Noir being around. So if you can imagine back in the good old days of, Pliny the Elder, if they had 5 different vines of Pinot Noir, or 5 different clones of Pinot Noir, and they'd make wine from those 5 different plants of Pinot Noir, and they noticed that one of the 5 tastes like something really bad. Well, maybe they'd say that clone doesn't really produce great wine, but this other vine over here produces really good wine, and actually we want to focus on that one vine. So what did they do? So if you take actually the seed from a grape, put it in the ground, that will not be the same thing as the vine in the ground. So to create the same thing as the vine that's in the ground that you made the wine from that tastes really good, really yummy, you have to take a cutting from that vine. The cutting from the vine will be as close as you're going to get genetically to actually what that vine is. It might have minuscule differences, but that is as close as you're going to get. If you plant the seed, that's going to be really different. It's kind of like if mom and dad have a kid, that kid will be close to the mom and dad, but different. You know what I'm saying? Birds and the bees. I'm getting way off topic here. But anyways, okay. So you got to, to get the same clone from the same vine, you take a cutting. So what is taking a cutting, Alex? Well, you know, there's vines grow, right? So you'll take your clippers, this is a clippers, and you'll take a long vine and you'll cut it, and you'll cut it into lengths that might have 4 to 6 buds on it, you know? And then you'll take them to your nursery woman, and the nursery woman will go, hey, Alex, good to see you. You got me some cuttings? Okay, I'll propagate those. Come back next year and you'll get a bunch of baby vines from that one vine you took the cuttings from, which means you'll get exactly what you had in the ground. So again, seeds, that's not going to give you the same thing that's in the ground. So that's how over the last couple thousand years, we have been developing clones that we as wine growers think taste really yummy. So the original Pinot Noir vine, was it as good as the Pinot Noir vines that we have in the ground today? I don't know. Wasn't around back when Vesuvius blew. But if I was, I would let you know. But let's just say that it wasn't. So over the decades, over the centuries, and the millennium, we have figured out what clones work the best. So let's come down to or go up or down, sideways, to today. So to go to today and to learn about the clones of Pinot Noir from today, we're gonna go back to the France of the 1960s. Let's just imagine that was a cool time and to be in France, maybe in Burgundy. Definitely had longer hair than I do. And it was at that time that they were trying to do some more clonal research into Pinot Noir. They weren't as happy as they have been with the selections, with the clonal selections of Pinot Noir that they had. So they basically said, hey, let's take some seeds, let's grow a bunch. And basically, they planted like 600 different clones of Pinot Noir in numerous vineyards. And were making wine from each of those 600 vines and learning which clones taste yummy. And so today, we call all those trials that were done in Burgundy in the 60s, let's call it late 50s, 60s, and 70s, we call a lot of those clones that are in the United States, we call those Dijon Clones. Not named after the mustard, named after the city, Dijon. So there's a story why they call them Dijon Clones, but I won't bore you with that today. But so the Dijon clones we know about today were started in this clonal research in the old country in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And the French let us have these. Well, they let David Adelsheim have them. Dave Adelsheim's the man. If I went over there, they'd say, get the hell out of here. But David A., he's the man. So yeah, so he got these clones. He convinced them to bring them here. For those Aussies out there, down under, you don't call them Dijon clones, you call them, I think, Bernard clones, right? You call them Bernard clones. Looking at my notes here, yes, the Bernard clones, because I think the guy's name who kind of headed up the clonal research in Burgundy was first name Bernard, last name, I lose, sorry. Okay, so let's get to today. So we have these Dijon clones that you know about, and that gets us to what maybe we have planted here at Sokol Blosser. So let me get my handy chart. Now again, we're talking about Pinot Noir, and we're talking about clones of Pinot Noir that you know are Pinot Noir, but they have subtle different characteristics, you know, and some of these characteristics wine growers love, and some of the characteristics wine growers don't enjoy. For myself, clones are important, but again, there's 4 legs to that stool. So clones are important, but they're not everything, you know? So rootstocks are as important as the clone. But let's look at the clones here at good old Sokol Blosser. Okay, Pinot Noir clones of Sokol Blosser. So most what we have in our vineyard is Pommard clone. Now, what is this, Alex? 0491? Oh, another deep dive. Okay, so there's kind of what you call it, Pommard, and there's kind of more of a scientific name. So if you say, oh, that is a Douglas fir tree outside, well, there's the scientific name, which is Hoopatapa Snappa Snappa. And that's a complicated word that you're not going to keep in your head. But you know it as the trade name Douglas fir, just like we know the vine as Pommard. Well, there is the University of California at Davis, great school. They have what's called the Foundation Plant Services, where basically any plant is down at what we call the FPS, again, Foundation Plant Services. They're given an FPS number where it's all catalog. It's kind of like the Library of Congress for vines, and actually all plants, but let's just focus on vines. So every vine clone is given an FPS number. So Pommard originally was clone 4, but if you go to a nursery and said, hey, I want to buy a Pommard, they'll sell it to you as FPS clone 91. Whew, that's a sexy number, huh? Okay, then there is a town in France called Pommard. That's where that name comes. Then we have 2 clones of Wädenswil. Wädenswil, see that A with the umlaut? Kind of fun to draw. There's a town in Switzerland called Wädenswil. Yeah. So we have clone 1A, which sometimes is known as the Lett clone. Our neighbor, David Lett, started in 65. We started in 71. Pretty close, but not, he was the first. Then we have Wädenswil clone 2A, 2 clones of Wädenswil here at Sokol Blosser. And then we have some Dijon clones. Dijon 115, Dijon clone 667, Dijon clone 777. Almost like the airplane. Who came up with 777 first? The University of Burgundy with the Dijon clone or Boeing? I think the wine guys did. Oh well. Okay, then we have a clone that we call Pinot Noir, which we think is FPS clone 18. Now this is what gets even weirder. If you look at FPS clone 18, it says it's a Gamay Beaujolais type of Pinot Noir. What the hell is that? That's like saying Bruce Springsteen is a Madonna-like singer. No, that counteracts things. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, anywho, that's what they call it, FPS. Pinot Noir is a clone of Pinot Noir. And then we have what we call 12-row clone that we make 12-row Pinot Noir out of as Sokol Blosser. We're not quite sure what clone this is. Parents thought it was Pommard, planted in 75. Doesn't taste like Pommard. What is it? I'm putting a question mark by it. I think it's a Martini clone, so let's just say it's a Carneros Creek. All right. So, to further confuse you, Pinot Noir, being as old as it is, it's not that it's highly mutative. It's just that it's been around so long that it has naturally, created other things. Okay, so here is a picture of Pinot Noir. Smaller cluster, generally speaking. Red, really red grapes. Well, a color mutation of Pinot Noir is, guess what? Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris is almost indistinguishable from a DNA sequencing from Pinot Noir. So Pinot Gris, according to scientists, is a color mutation of Pinot Noir. So it is not as dark as Pinot Noir, but it's dark. Then there's Pinot Blanc. Pinot Blanc is white Pinot Noir. Again, a color mutation. During harvest time, it's not that uncommon to get a cluster of Pinot Noir, and then on one of the berries, it's white. If you closed your eyes and would taste that berry, you go, wow, it's kind of like Pinot Noir, but it's white. Crazy. Okay, I hope I made some sense of clones. When someone talks about clones, that's what it is. If not, I'll have to try again. All right, we'll see you next week on the 4th edition of From Our Land to Your Hand. Thank you.